Exactly. So
It's hard to do. Easier said than done.
It's easier said than done. And it's not to say, like, they need to be doing exactly what you're doing.
Oh, no, not the same thing. There's got to be supportive. You shouldn't be doing the same thing. Or in some cases you can if you both believe in it. But
right.
You can't be with someone who's against what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or someone who's just, like, shits on your goals.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't say that word.
We could beep it out.
Who's not too kind, who doesn't take too kindly to your goals. Like, that is not the person for you. Next. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for your wise words, as always. We're actually going to have Andrew's son on the podcast.
Okay.
So,
stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned.
Next up, we're actually going to combine these two because these two guests are very similar but also different. We have Jackie Jones from Wine and Moms, and then Sheila Sanandres, who did the very last episode of the podcast for 2018, Superwoman. The reason I put these two podcasts together is because I learned the same thing from both of them, that you could have so much going on in life and still go after your goals and still do what you want to do. So, for example, Jackie is a mom, a Zumba instructor, a wife, and then we have...
a daughter.
She has a daughter.
No, she is a daughter.
Oh, she's a daughter.
I'm just naming all the possible cousins.
Yeah. She's Jackie's everything. Then you have Sheila, who at the time Sheila is in school. She was working, doing marathons, playing softball. And it's just like, whoa, ladies, like, how do you have the energy to keep going? And, like, for Jackie to want to achieve more, like, coming up with her own podcast, Wine and Moms.
How does she balance all these things? What was the takeaway there?
I feel like the takeaway is that time management. Like, just time management. Like, if you could just set a schedule for yourself. And sometimes schedules aren't very organized either, because things do come up. Mm-hmm. But my takeaway is time management. And if these two ladies could handle everything that they were doing, then who's to say we can't? I only have one job.
Yeah, I'm focused on one thing, but they're doing multiple things.
And they're doing multiple things. So,
I mean, it's probably debatable. Like, should you do multiple things or should you just focus on one thing? I'm sure there's some debate around that.
I'm pretty sure there is. But hey, if you're good at everything that you're doing and you could schedule it to the point where it's working for you, then go for it. Yeah. What do you think?
I mean, I'm a little biased. I kind of just focus on one thing. Although I kind of am like doing multiple things, like I'll do like side projects, or I'll be trying to learn, like I'm trying to learn Chinese now, for example.
Right.
And all these other things I'm trying to learn, like.
And
yeah.
And I think it's like also, like, for example, for
so time management would help me with that.
Exactly.
So that's something, that's a good takeaway. Yeah.
And for also example, Sheila, she's doing marathons and coaching, but and she's also studying like physical therapy, physical science. It's all going back to physical fitness and being an athlete. Mm-hmm. So all those things work together. Like running,
that's the best thing. If you have
softball.
Multiple things and they're synergistic,
exactly,
then you're in business. There you go. That's good.
Yes.
Good. Yeah.
Okay. The next person we have is Katrina Nafisi, who is amazing and one of the sweetest people ever. I met her in improv acting also.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think I told you, but you need to watch her YouTube videos.
I will.
And you guys need to watch her YouTube videos.
I'll watch it right now.
She
pause the video.
We should just put it up right now, right?
Yeah, be
like
ding.
on the side. Oh,
Link below.
Yeah. Link below. Katrina Nafisi, guys. Katrina has taught me from her episode of the podcast. For me, I'm like still learning acting and getting comfortable in that field. She just taught me to not care what people think.
That's hard for a lot of people.
I think it is, especially in that industry. So when I say like you need to watch her videos, is because it's a mixture between being funny and scary and just loud. Like, she is not afraid to be loud and play like these characters versus like a subtle version. Which was her exact words, actually. Like, that's how much that podcast impacted me. Those were her words of just like, you know, you just kind of have to put yourself out there and not be scared to play a character.
That is hard for a lot of people.
It is hard for a lot.
So how did she overcome that fear? Did she explain it?
I think she just naturally has it in her.
Okay. Well, what if someone doesn't naturally have it? Is there like something they can do, you think?
To train themselves to be...
Yeah, can you train yourself to not care if you've lived, the first half of your life caring? Can you train yourself to get out of that and not care? Like,
I think it's possible. But it's like almost like retraining your brain and maybe like telling yourself like, hey, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do this, and if I fail and people are watching, I just have to be okay with it.
But how do you retrain your brain to do that? You just do it? Or
I think you just have to do it.
Just step out
maybe put yourself in situations where you're uncomfortable. Like, for example, doing improv. Improv is super uncomfortable.
So, like, you live your whole life caring what other people think. So, to get out of it, you take an improv class. Then that'll help you start to shift your mindset.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Because improv, it's like, first of all, it's all made up on the spot.
Well, I think what's also interesting about improv is that to be good at it, from what I can tell, I haven't really done it, but from what I can tell, you have to, like, if you're holding back or if you're overthinking it before you speak, it's going to come out bad. So it forces you to get out of your head.
Exactly.
Like, it trains you how to do that. Because if you don't get out of your head, then you're going to do a bad performance.
Exactly.
So it's good training from what I can tell.
Exactly. Yeah. It's exactly what it is. It's like you're making it up on the spot. You're not thinking too much of it. You just have to go. And if you, like, don't go out with your scene partner right away, then it's kind of like, oh, what's going on stage? Like, this looks really awkward.
It forces you to just do it and not think about it.
Exactly.
That's good, yeah.
So beyond, like, Katrina Nafisi's awesome acting skills, I also learned to not be afraid to move from one place to the next, because she actually moved from Arkansas to New York City to pursue acting. And I always admire that about people who kind of just move from a different place to pursue their dreams. Like, that's inspiring to me. Yeah. And I feel like you and Nisha also...
Well, Nisha moved to New York from LA with I think she got a job before she came, but yeah, she just randomly wanted to move here, so she got a job here and then moved here.
Yeah.
That's exactly what she did.
And you guys also do that with, like, traveling too. You're like...
Well, that's not like moving as in like relocating.
True.
Yeah. But yeah, she straight up relocated from LA to New York.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
It's inspiring. So
yeah.
if there's anyone out there listening, just if there's an opportunity calling you somewhere else, whether it's LA, Miami, wherever.
Europe? I like Europe. Europe's cool.
Europe is cool.
I could see myself like relocating there. I mean, I probably won't, but like if I could see it, if I was the kind of person that wanted to relocate, like don't underestimate Europe. Well, you could speak, if you don't know the language, like everyone speaks English there. And Eastern Europe, Western Europe, you can get by, and over time you can learn the language. But
exactly, just go move, guys.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah, you can listen to my podcast anywhere in the world.
Internet 2.0.
Guys. All right. Oh my God. So the next podcast up is called Communication is Key with David Strack, who is also, he's actually also in the process of moving to a different country. And he's going to be following a completely different career paths. So you guys should stay tuned. I'm going to try to have him back on the podcast to talk about that. But I felt like I already knew this, that communication is important. What he reiterated to me on the podcast is not only being able to listen to the person that you're talking to, but also understanding their thought process and understanding the words that are coming out of their mouths. It's not just like, okay, you say one thing and I'm like, okay, great. What does Dave mean when he's saying what he's saying? And why is he saying those things?
They look at a deeper meaning behind what they're saying,
exactly.
And not just taking what they're saying at face value kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
So...
Yeah.
I feel like communication, above all, is like super important, because if you can't communicate with each other, then you can't understand each other, and then...
Well, I think a major thing is empathy too. Like, you gotta put yourself in the other person's shoes. Exactly. So whenever I hear someone talk about communication, that's also what I think about. Like, in my business, when I talk to a customer, I don't just talk to them. I also try to put myself in their shoes whenever I'm talking to them and being like, so what are they thinking? How are they perceiving us? How are they perceiving their interaction with our company? So I'm very keen on thinking about how things look to them in addition to how things actually are. But how things look is also really important. So how people perceive things, it helps with communication to, I think, put yourself in the other person's shoes and think about what they're perceiving of you. That's hard to do for me. Maybe some people naturally do that, but I know that's something I had to work on.
I feel like I'm also working on communicating as well.